Okay, so we're going to share my screen.
It says I'm recording.
Then we're going to hope the document camera wants to work today. It looks like it wants to work. This is good news. All right. So this book is called Chrysanthemum. It's by Kevin Hankes, and it is a great book for the first day of school. I still can't believe it's the first day of school. And I will do my best so that you can see each page as I go. And one thing I like to do when I read aloud to students is I like to see if you can figure out how old a book is. So this book was written in 1991. So I want you to think, how old is this book? If it is the year 2020 and this book was written in 1991. For those people who said they love math, Logan Peters, a couple of you, can you and Mrs. Harrison, could I have them put it in the chat box?
Yes.
If you know how old this book is. 1991.
I am no longer mute.
And it is 2020. In the chat box, you can type how old you think this book is. Okay? I think someone is muted. So if you can check to see if you're muted, that would be great.
So when you come back, you're going to do this particular thing.
So I think
I just want to show
it out. But
Justin
Mrs. Aubin, so according to the chat, I have a lot of guesses from Noah and Ryder at 29. What do you think about 29, Mrs. Aubin?
You're right.
Charlie, can you hear me?
I think we have to mute some people, Mrs. Harrison.
Yeah, I'm working.
Oh, right. Well, okay.
Got it.
There, that's better. So 1991 plus 9 more to get to 2000, and 2020, 20 plus 9 is 29. So good job, guys, those people who got it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and read this book, Chrysanthemum. Here's our first page. The day she was born was the happiest day in her parents' lives. She's perfect, said her mother. Absolutely, said her father. And she was. She was absolutely perfect. Her name must be everything she is, said her mother. Her name must be absolutely perfect, said her father. And it was. Chrysanthemum. Her parents named her Chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum grew and grew and grew, and when she was old enough to appreciate it, Chrysanthemum loved her name. She loved the way it sounded when her mother woke her up. She loved the way it sounded when her father called her for dinner. And she loved the way it sounded when she whispered it to herself in the bathroom mirror. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum loved the way it looked when it was written with ink on an envelope. She loved the way it looked when it was written with icing on her birthday cake. And she loved the way it looked when she wrote it herself with her fat orange crayon. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum thought her name was absolutely perfect. And then she started school. On the first day, Chrysanthemum wore her sunniest dress and her brightest smile. She ran all the way. Hooray, said Chrysanthemum, school. But when Mrs. Chudd took roll call, everyone giggled upon hearing Chrysanthemum's name. So everybody else's names were like Dawn, Eve, Max, Tay, Les, Al, Lois, Sue, Bill. Most of them just one syllable. It's so long, said Joe. It scarcely fits on your name tag, said Rita, pointing. I'm named after my grandmother, said Victoria. You're named after a flower. Chrysanthemum wilted. Can you guys show me what wilted looks like? Make yourself wilt, like a flower when it's about to die. You know how it wilts? Show me wilted. I see some of you are wilting. Thank you. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. The rest of the day was not much better. During nap time, Victoria raised her hand and informed Mrs. Chudd that Chrysanthemum's name was spelled with 13 letters. That's exactly half as many letters as there are in the entire alphabet, Victoria explained. Thank you for sharing that with us, Victoria, said Mrs. Chudd. Now, put your head down. If I had a name like yours, I'd change it, Victoria said, as the students lined up to go home. I wish I could, thought Chrysanthemum miserably. Welcome home, said her mother. Welcome home, said her father. School is no place for me, said Chrysanthemum. My name is too long. It scarcely fits on my name tag, and I'm named after a flower. Oh, pish, said her mother. Your name is beautiful, and precious, and priceless, and fascinating, and winsome, said her father. It's everything you are, said her mother. Absolutely perfect, said her father. Chrysanthemum felt much better after her favorite dinner, macaroni and cheese with ketchup, and an evening filled with hugs and kisses and parcheesi, which is a very old game. I don't even know if they make it anymore. I remember playing it when I was a kid. That night, Chrysanthemum dreamed that her name was Jane. It was an extremely pleasant dream. The next morning, Chrysanthemum wore her most comfortable jumper. She walked to school as slowly as she could. She dragged her feet in the dirt. Chrysanthemum, 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 she wrote. She even looks like a flower, said Victoria as Chrysanthemum entered the playground. Let's pick her, said Rita, pointing. Let's smell her, said Joe. Chrysanthemum wilted. Show me wilted again. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. The rest of the day was not much better. During nap time, Victoria raised her hand and said, a chrysanthemum is a flower. It lives in a garden with worms and other dirty things. Thank you for sharing that with us, Victoria, said Mrs. Chudd. Now, put your head down. I just cannot believe your name, Victoria said as the students lined up to go home. Neither can I, thought Chrysanthemum miserably. Welcome home, said her mother. Welcome home, said her father. School is no place for me, said Chrysanthemum. They said I even look like a flower. They pretended to pick me and smell me. Oh, pish, said her mother. They're just jealous and envious and begrudging and discontented and jaundiced, said her father. Who wouldn't be jealous of a name like yours, said her mother. After all, it's absolutely perfect, said her father. Chrysanthemum felt a trifle better after her favorite dessert, chocolate cake with a buttercream frosting, and another evening filled with hugs and kisses and parcheesi. That night, Chrysanthemum dreamed that she really was a chrysanthemum. She sprouted leaves and petals. Victoria picked her and plucked the leaves and petals one by one until there was nothing left but a scrawny stem. It was the worst nightmare of Chrysanthemum's life. Chrysanthemum wore her outfit with 7 pockets the next morning. She loaded the pockets with her most prized possessions and her good luck charms. Chrysanthemum took the longest route possible to school. She stopped and stared at each and every flower. Chrysanthemum, 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 the flowers seemed to say. That morning, the students were introduced to Mrs. Twinkle, the music teacher. Her voice was like something out of a dream, as was everything else about her. The students were speechless. They thought Mrs. Twinkle was an indescribable wonder. They went out of their way to make a nice impression. Mrs. Twinkle led the students in scales. Then she assigned roles for the class musical. Victoria was chosen as the dainty fairy queen. Rita was chosen as the spiffy butterfly princess. Jo was chosen as the all-important pixie messenger, and Chrysanthemum was chosen as a daisy. Chrysanthemum's a daisy, chrysanthemum's a daisy, Jo, Rita, and Victoria chanted, thinking it was wildly funny. Chrysanthemum wilted. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. What's so humorous? Asked Mrs. Twinkle. Chrysanthemum, was the answer. Her name is so long, said Jo. It scarcely fits on her name tag, said Rita, pointing. I'm named after my grandmother, said Victoria. She's named after a flower. My name is long, said Mrs. Twinkle. It is, said Jo. My name would scarcely fit on a name tag, said Mrs. Twinkle. It would, said Rita, pointing. And, said Mrs. Twinkle, I'm named after a flower too. You are? Said Victoria. Yes, said Mrs. Twinkle. My name is Delphinium. Delphinium Twinkle. And if my baby is a girl, I'm considering Chrysanthemum as a name. I think it's absolutely perfect. Chrysanthemum could scarcely believe her ears. She blushed, she beamed, she bloomed. Now we get to show that. You know, when you blush, you get a little red in the face. When you're beaming, you're proud and you're blooming. Show me what that might look like. The opposite of wilted. Nice job, guys. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. Jo, Rita, and Victoria looked at Chrysanthemum longingly. So if you look at someone longingly, you kind of wish you had what they had, right? So show me that look. Maybe you have a chocolate cake in your hand and you want it. Someone else wants it. They're looking at you longingly. Call me Marigold, said Jo. I'm Carnation, said Rita, pointing. My name is Lily of the Valley, said Victoria. Chrysanthemum did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She knew it. And there's a funny little epilogue at the end. It kind of tells you, an epilogue tells you what happens after the story. It says, overall, the class musical was a huge success. Chrysanthemum was absolutely perfect as a daisy. Victoria made the only mistake. She completely forgot her lines as the dainty fairy queen. Chrysanthemum thought it was wildly funny and she giggled throughout the entire dance of the flowers. Eventually, Mrs. Twinkle gave birth to a healthy baby girl, and of course, she named her, everybody, Chrysanthemum. So I thought that would be a fun book because it talks about the first day of school and sometimes how you feel about yourself. You're self-conscious. And she obviously got picked on because of her name, which in all my years of teaching, I've never seen happen. But I know there are things people do at school and that can make you feel bad. So give me a thumbs up if you've ever felt like Chrysanthemum felt in that story. You're making a connection. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's the case. Sometimes people don't treat others the way they should. And we'll talk a lot about that in the next 2 weeks and throughout the school year on how we treat others. But the point in this that we're going to look at is we're going to think about our names today. So my name is Nancy, and my dad came up with my name. I was supposed to be Joan, but he convinced my mother to name me Nancy, which I'm glad because I have a lot of Jones in my family. So thinking about the number of letters in your name even, N-A-N-C-Y. I have 5 letters. I don't have a very long name like Chrysanthemum. Think about your first name. How many letters do you have in your name? And if you have 5 letters like me, 5 letters like me, put up 5. Or if you have 6, put up 6, 7, 2, 3. If you can't fit, you're going to have to wiggle your 10 fingers. If you have more than 10, show me how many letters are in your name. And that's hard for me to see everybody, so I'm going to scroll through. Mrs. Harrison's looking too.
I was going to say I've got 4 and 8.
I see 5. And how?
7.
Andrea's got 5. Isabella, you have a long name.
Got 5. A lot of 6s, a lot of 4s.
Madison's name's pretty long. So good job. So today we're going to play with our names a little bit more. We're going to write an acrostic poem. So an acrostic poem, and some of you might have done this last year, is when you take the first letter, well, all the letters in your name, but you use the first letter to think of a word. Okay, so I'm going to take my name, and you guys will do this once we end our Zoom meeting. And we will be sharing these at 11:30 in our next Zoom live meeting, which is in about an hour. So you'll have some time to do this and probably some time to take a little break. So I'm going to write my name, and I think I'll just use all capitals because I'm doing a poem. Normally, we would only capitalize the first letter of our name, but for this activity, I think it'll be kind of cool to have all capitals there. So you're going to write the letters of your name going down, and we call that vertically, just like you stand, right? Horizontally would be this way, but the letters will go down vertically on the left side of your paper. And then I'm going to look at each letter in my name and think of an adjective. Give me a thumbs up if you remember what an adjective is from 2nd grade. Not many probably, because it's been a while. So adjectives are words that describe nouns. So I'm just going to give you a quick little lesson here. So thinking about this pig is a noun, right? The stuffed animal. A noun is a person, place, or thing. So if this is a pig, a noun, and I want to describe it using describing words or adjectives, I might say pink. I could say soft, squishy, right? Because that describes the pig. Those are called adjectives. Even something like this. This is my duct tape. I just picked it up. But I could say it's kind of hard, right? Duct tape is a noun, it's a thing. But the adjectives that describe it would be hard, round or circular. It is kind of smooth when I touch it. And it's bright, like bright orange. So you might have noticed when I think of adjectives, I think about how something feels. I think about how it looks. I can think about, well, how it might smell. You can use your senses to help you with adjectives. Okay, so because we're describing ourselves, you're not really going to think of how you smell, hopefully. You're going to think about your personality, right? So thinking about who you are, I'm hoping that other people feel this way about me, but an adjective that would describe me that starts with the letter N might be nice. This is what I hope people think, that I am nice. Then I have an A is the next letter in my name. And I know this about myself because I have a hard time sitting still. I'm very active. And I know some of you probably have that problem too, where you got to be doing something all the time. That's definitely me. I drive my family crazy. And then the third letter in my name is another N. Uh-oh, I can't use nice again. So I got to think, naughty? No, I can't be naughty because I'm nice. I can't be nice and naughty. But I am a nature lover. So I think what I'm going to write is nature lover. So you'll notice I have 2 words here. And I think that's okay. I wouldn't get too crazy with too many words, but 2 is good. Because some of the letters in your name are hard to think of adjectives. So here's a C. My 4th letter is a C. Crazy. I could be creative. I could be kooky. But I think I'll be caring. It's the first day of school. I'm feeling very caring today for my new students in their new experience. And then Y is so hard. If you have a Y in your name, you guys might come up with other adjectives. For me, I couldn't think of any. So I'm just going to say youthful. I'm not really young, but I try to act youthful. Young at heart, maybe I could have said. But I wanted to make sure you know, and I see Abby has raised her hand.
Yep.
Mrs. Harrison will address your question. I wanted to make sure that you know we have a word bank to help you, and I'm going to show you how to access that before we end our Zoom here.
And Mrs. Aubin, can I just remind a couple of friends who are kind of rolling around and doing some other things to, especially since you're about to give directions, to reset themselves up so that they are facing the screen and ready to go.
So to help with that, boys and girls, if you were in the classroom, I would talk about whole body listening.
Mm-hmm.
That means your ears are listening. Your brain is thinking about what is being said. Your eyes are looking at the screen. You're looking at me. Your mouth is quiet. Hands and feet are down and still. That's called whole body listening, and that will help you. And we're almost done here. So if you're feeling like you need a little break, you're going to get one in a minute. So just a reminder, you're going to get a piece of paper and a pencil. You're going to write the letters of your name vertically on the left side of your paper. You are then going to think of an adjective, a describing word that describes your personality going across. N, like nice. A, active. N, nature lover. C, caring. Y, youthful. You're not going to have the same letters in your name as me. Mrs. Harrison's name is Lori, so she would have to think of L. I would say she's lovely. O, she's outstanding. R, she's radical. And I, she's interesting. So that's what you have to. We have some unmuted.
I'm getting there. Got it.
Okay, so now here's how you are going to, let me get rid of this. When you are in your Google Classroom, let me get to mine, see if I can move this screen. You will see in classwork, so this is kind of this is important here. You will see under classwork, it says Chrysanthemum acrostic poem Monday. When you click on that, you will see a link that is going to take you. Click on this, well, you'll read the directions, then you'll click on the link, and you will find an adjective word list for your acrostic poem. So it's really D might be tricky. I don't know that we have any of those, but I had trouble with Y. So here's some examples that you can use. Mine isn't even on here. When I used active under A, it's not on here. They have awesome, amiable, which means kind of like you like to please, you think you go along with everything. Alive and artistic. But I just want to remind you, if it's not on here, it's okay. You don't have to use this. I did not use it, and some of mine are definitely not on here. But if you get
I want to use that.
good, if you get stuck, it's here for you. So let me remind you where it is again. On Google Classroom, under classwork, where this activity is, it says link. You click on link, and it will come up, and you can use it to help you. Also, here's my example, acrostic poem. If you click on that, it shows you the one that I did. So that if you forget where to write the letters, you can refer back to this. Okay, so now I want to end with, this is your assignment. You will not need to be back on Zoom until 11:30. And that is when we are going to bring our poems into small groups and we're going to share them. So make sure when you come back on Zoom at 11:30, you have this poem with you ready to share. Any questions before we end our meeting and get started on our work? You can
No.
ask them in the chat box or you can raise your hand. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Well, I don't see any questions as of yet. I just see some people who are going to see us soon.
I see Abby has a question.
So did we do our full name or just our first name?
I think that's probably up to you. I think you could choose whether you want to do Abigail or just Abby. It's up to you.
But can we do our middle name?
If you mean to add it to your first name, like both names? First and
Yeah,
your,
like have both names.
why don't you do this? Why don't you do your first name first? And if you have extra time and extra brain power, throw in that middle name. Sure.
Okay,
All right.
that's my question.
And a quick reminder, please do not turn off your video until we have said the meeting is over. So Ethan and Cole and
Oh, how is she unmuted? They're unmuted here.
That's Miss Harrison.
I feel like this is taking forever.
Do you know Miss Harrison? Oh, they're probably just
Yes.
transitioning to a different lesson.
Oh, can I leave meeting?
Hi,
Not
Okay.
yet.
Oh,
You can go there too.
goodbye.
What
what's up, Charlie?
Hi, Ethan.
Hi.